was the, like, instead of understanding the why they punched out, they just saw them punching out and, this one thing changed? Okay, like, that was the calculus of the bean counters mind. Instead of understanding why people were undervaluing, underpaying, overworking, overtaxing people who we're going to need to support everything we want to do, whether it's ITs, IPs, CWTs, right? All these critical billets, all these critical personnel, we're undervaluing. Of course, they're going to get. I'm going to get. As soon as I hit 20, because life is better than outside. I can make a lot more money.
I 100% agree with you. That's the main thing that I hear.
I have a TLS now, but if I was a civilian, I'd be a TLS.
I was talking 3 stories. I will tell you. I get ready to hire a GS. I was trying to hire a GS 13. When I told him what a GS 13, he literally laughed at me and walked away.
People, this job is remote.
Yeah, well, I talked to another guy who said, I want a starting salary of $200,000 and a 20% increase after the first year and a guaranteed 20% increase after the second year. If you can't offer me that, I'm not interested. Now, how many people do you know on a starting salary of $200,000?
Okay, welcome back, everyone, to the to our ongoing data day. I do want to say very much that I knew we would fill that 45 minutes with TWIMS. I was confident, no problem there, and thank you all for doing that. Great questions, great comments. You know, this is where we are tracking workforce right now, right? And you're going to see that these things become very important as we get into this next piece that we are going to do. So I'm going to bring up to the stage briefer extraordinaire, leader of moderators, moderator of boards everywhere. At least that's what it looked like yesterday, Chris. Like you're running the show yesterday. So Chris Dupree is he's a new member to our workforce team. He's come in, he has gotten a lot of things knocked out. One of those things that he did get knocked out was being able to get to a Dawn Cyber Workforce Readiness dashboard. So this morning you saw the Cyber Workforce Health Report, and it will tell you how many you have, what's your personnel level, it'll tell you where's your TLMS at, it'll tell you those numbers. And they did show you at some point in time their qualification piece. Now, you remember what it looked like this morning? Because there's a whole thing that happened here. But we wanted to have some way to be able to fully understand readiness. Because as we've gone through this and we've talked to everybody, 8140 is about compliance. 8140 has set a foundation for how you build cyber readiness. So we needed to make sure we had a dashboard so we could visualize that across the Dawn. So Chris Dupree, come on up and get us started.
Thank you, Derek. All right, so as we covered in the last brief and everyone saw, we have the foundations and what we need to be able to see what's going on with our workforce in TWIMS. We still have work to do to work out some kinks and get it to 100%, but we're in a place where we are able to use that. So when Alfredo was our fearless leader and we were still kind of working on developing all that, he directed us to start figuring out how we're going to visualize that and use that to tell the story about our workforce. So what we did was, before TWIMS was even fully built out, we started by basically generating some synthetic dummy data based on what we knew the fields were and started developing a Power BI dashboard. And that was our start. And then from there, we reached out to our partners. There's the Manpower Analytics and HR Systems branch who will be presenting this brief on what we were able to put together with them. And, and bringing up Miss Candace Gallihugh to give that brief.
Hi everyone, good morning. Candace Gallihugh. I am the lead. I'm going to throw a bunch of acronyms at you right now, so your head might start spinning. MARS is the Manpower Analytics and HR Systems Directorate. My group is the Orbit team. It's Operations Research and Business Intelligence team. So those folks are the people that do a lot of this work that we're going to talk about, and worked very closely with our partners at N2N6, DoD CIO, Don CIO, et cetera, to put this together. So what I'm going to do this morning is just go through who we are, just a quick intro on that, and then we'll talk about what we've done so far with the capability, and then we'll run through a demo on Click. Hopefully Click stays working and up and running for us. So everyone, keep your fingers crossed on that. I do have a backup. We've got some static slides made in case that happens. All right, so let's go to the next slide. All right, so there is a layer between Mars and orbit, another acronym, TFHRBI. So that one's spelled out for you. I won't go through that. But essentially what we do is a lot of things for the Navy with regard to human capital and human resources and all of the data side of it. As you know, there's a lot of complex systems, a lot of things that are siloed still, and different data that we need to bring together. So we have a lot of data sharing agreements and things like that. I actually, just by way of introduction, I've been at Mars for about 3 months now, about 3.5 months. I was at NAVWAR for 20 years, and I was working pretty close to the fleet with delivering capability. And a lot of that, as you know, if you know NAVWAR business, a lot of it is IT and information warfare and cyber capabilities. So this is all very near and dear to my heart. When I came on board, I was really happy to see that we were building out or had built out something like this, because that really connects us a little bit closer to the fleet, because we're talking about leaders being able to assess what their workforce looks like, and that's not just the folks on the deck plate on the ships or even doing the installations on the ships. It's the people in the programs, in the program offices, understanding the big picture, and those folks also being able to assess qualifications, achieve their qualifications, so we can support all of this business. So let's go to the next slide. All right, so TFHRBI is made up of a few organizations. One of them is data acquisition and integration. So we have a team that actually, again, creates or puts in place data sharing agreements with different organizations to get the data that we need into Jupiter in order for the visualization and analytics team to do their work. So as you can imagine, it's a journey, and it has been a journey to get all of the data together and get it in to do what we need. I know in the next year or so, we should have all waypoints data coming into Jupiter. You know, that's always a little, you know, the timeline is probably TBD. Didn't you guys say that was the theme yesterday, TBD? So that's the goal. We've been very successful in getting a lot of data into Jupiter. We just got a lot of DCPDS data. We've got some DMDC data that's come in, and we're going through a lot of DEERS data as well. So that brings me to, we have a modeling and predictive team, and those folks, we have some data engineers there that are doing a lot of analyzing the data that's come in, figuring out what we can do with the data to provide it to our customers and build out some of the capabilities that we already have. So that's a big thing that the modeling team's working on. Again, data scientists, data engineers. As you guys know, with data, the biggest lift is the cleanup, right? Getting the data prepared and getting it in a logical, pulling it in a logical way so that it can actually be used. All right, let's go to the next slide. So Cyber Readiness Dashboard, like I mentioned, and Chris said as well, it's been a partnership. I know that it's been in work for a while. We actually started doing routine refreshes back in November. And we just did a refresh about a week ago, so the data that you're gonna see here is the latest and greatest. Amy Kiefner, who's right here to my left, she was the primary POC that worked with these folks to get all of this in place. Certainly a partnership, because a lot of our team members are HR, a lot of them come from either Manpower or HR backgrounds, and not necessarily from the technical background. So it is absolutely essential that we always stay connected to the customers because they're the ones that understand what we need to build out a capability that's actually useful. So AMI has been amazing in doing that, and it's been a lot of work, and it's still a work in progress. One thing I didn't mention about our group with the dashboards and the analytics is we're never done. We're always enhancing, we're always building, and again, we are somewhat far away from a lot of the cyber work that's being done. However, we need input. Like if something doesn't look right, or you say, hey, I think there's something else that we could actually bring in to make this a little bit better, we would love to understand that and want to know, because again, this is all about the customers and making it something useful. A lot of effort goes in it from everyone, a lot of people, to make this what it is, and we want it to be useful. So we want that return on investment, and we also want to make sure that we give you something that's what you need. So right now we have the visualizations that cover the different aspects of the DoD 8140, and again, working with the folks at N2N6 to make sure that we dial in what the requirements are and what they need to be able to fully track, assess, and have accountability of those certifications. So far, we've got civ data, civilian data, pulled in to the dashboard. Our next goal is to pull the military data in as well. So that should be available. We're going to start working on that pretty soon, probably in the spring. And again, that'll be another round of working really closely with all of the customers and making sure that we have input from all of you. Let's go to the next. All right, so we're going to get into the dashboard. So just a little caveat, I'm going to talk about the capability that we provide. I'll talk about a little bit about what you can do with the dashboard once you get into the dashboard. A lot of the things you'll see here is the data that comes directly from TWIMS, which, as we discussed, is the authoritative system for cyber certification data. So if there's any questions about the actual, Josh is looking at me. If there's any questions about the actual qualification status of an organization or the Navy in general, I know that there's a lot of things that are in progress that are we're working on to connect so that we can get a better picture, but I do today want to provide you with that capability. Not working? Okay. So has the irony been lost yet that we're at an IT conference and we tend to have a lot of IT issues, right? All right, so when you go to the application, this is where you will land. And essentially, this is just talking about the data sources, talks about the purpose of the dashboard. On the cover page or on the menu, we also have points of contact. So if you have questions or want to reach out about the capability or the information that's in the dashboard, you'll have the ability to do that. You want to go to the next sheet? Perfect. All right, the landing page, also the navigation page, so just lets you navigate directly to a sheet that you want to look at. There's also another way, like up in the top right corner with those carrots that go left and right. If you want to skip to a sheet, you can do that. Otherwise, those buttons are there to take you directly to those sheets. So we have the executive summary. We'll go through that one first. This is the very high level view of our cyber workforce posture. So our capabilities, where we are with certification. You can see on the left is the level of qualification that's required has been identified for our workforce. So the preponderance of those is at the intermediate level. So a little bit more about the dashboard and its capabilities. Up in the upper right corner is an ability to bookmark. So what you can do is if you obviously want to look directly at your command routinely. You go in and you can filter on that and then save it as a bookmark so the next time you go to the dashboard, you won't have to do the filters or remember how you did the filters to get to the information that you wanted. So one thing I want to talk about, and again, kind of tapping into my NavWar background, one thing that I really like about this dashboard is the ability to not only look at your command or one command, but we can look at commands together. And the reason I think this is really important is a lot of folks know NavWar and NavC, for example, have partnered extensively on capability for the fleet. So much so and so interlocked at this point that we can't do things without the other. So NavWar and NavC working together to provide capability to the fleet. I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about that. It's in the news. The new commander there, Admiral O'Connor, has taken over and taking NavWar to the next steps of Project Overmatch, for example. So NavAir has a piece of that as well. And if we want to look at cyber qualification and we want to look at our readiness, if we look at just NavC, for example, we're not getting the whole picture because now the way that we are intertwined now and the way that we work on capability together, we have to have the full picture of all of the commands and their readiness. And again, kind of focusing in right now on providing capability to the fleet, which I think is a huge part, especially with the CNO's Project 23, the NAV plan that has been put out earlier or later last year. So those things are really where, that's kind of the nexus of where we need to focus. And so to me, the programs that are bringing the capability, it's very important that they have those credentials. So ability to look at it holistically, and I just envision like, NFOSIS, for example, the Navy and Flag Officer SES symposiums that they usually have about once a year. I envision them bringing up tools like this so they can look collectively at what their posture is with regard to cyber, because it is such a top of mind thing right now. So going through this, again, we can look by command. Once you filter on a major command, the UIC will automatically filter. So if you filter on major command first, you won't get all of the Navy UICs available to you. It'll take it down or filter it down to the UICs applicable just to those commands. So those are some of the features there as well. And again, looking at the qualifications, and I know the Navy and probably the DoD in general is still in the process of identifying positions where not necessarily it's a cyber position in the title or IT position in the title. I'll use the group at Mars as an example. We are going through and coding our folks who are primarily data scientists and data analysts are now going to be cyber coded. A lot of them at the basic level, some at the intermediate level, but you can see the reach of how we need to take care of this because we've got folks touching data all over. And we are enablers with regard to providing that data, the human capital data, the human resources data to provide the big picture. So it's also important that our workforce is qualified as well to deal with that and understand the scope of the program. All right, so let's go to the next one.
How many can you combine together? Only 2 commands or
No.
multiple?
Yeah, it can be multiple. Yeah, it's so all of this is in Click. So for me, I was very accustomed to using Power BI. Whenever I came in, we'd used Tableau before that. So Click has been a little bit of a learning curve for me. I think it is for a lot of folks that come in and start using it. Once you kind of play around with the buttons and the filters, you kind of get the hang of it. The ability to clear. One thing that I love the team did is there is a way to clear. It's just like not super intuitive, so they added a red button in the upper right that just allows you like, oh, I've gone too far. I filtered too many things. I'm lost now. What happened? You can hit that button and start fresh again. So I know some people have some anxiety about that, like how do I get back to where I was? So you can do that, and they were very smart. They know that, a lot of people are not necessarily used to going in and doing these things. So it kind of gives you like an easy button or an off ramp to go back to where you were. So the scorecard here, it's basically conditionally formatted. I know for Click it's not called that necessarily, but that's what I kind of hook into because of Excel. But thinking about conditional formatting, when you get to a certain percentage on the scorecard, it will at some point turn green. So I believe that's 80%. Yes, okay, 80%. Whenever they hit that, it'll automatically turn green. Up until then, there are different shades of red going into yellow. So you can see like this is something that we need to further refine, and we're gonna work with the team on that, is kind of creating a little bit more distinction between the different colors as we move through. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, so this gets down a little bit more into the work role codes. So I know that whenever we started, I think there was like 45 or 54 work role codes, and now we're up to 72. So again, just, things change almost daily with these, especially as we get more integrated with the DoD and the certifications there. Those things are changing a lot, so we have to remain agile and flexible in how we update and enhance our dashboards. So we are certainly doing that. So again, the preponderance here of those is the IT community. You can see they have the most people in that category. And then over to the right is more focused down to the work role codes. So again, once you filter on your commands, or if you want to look at the whole Navy, you can start just getting some more distinction there around the different areas. All right. And then those are actually the positions and what the status is of a certain position. And you can see the points, all of the scoring is there that adds up to what their status is in their certification. And that's really helpful. We do not have any personnel data in here, so you will not be able to go in and look at your particular workforce and see who is fully certified or not. That's something that obviously the supervisors and the leaders will need to do on their own. This is purely the raw numbers, the data of the people in total, rather than the actual personnel. So that's it for the dashboard for now. Like I said, we're going to be continually enhancing it. I'm really excited to bring the military data in because again, they're the biggest group, right? And those are the folks that really are at the tip of the spear per se, and we need to be able to capture and show the status of those people as well. So that is the next steps, and again, we're super excited about that and to work with closely with our partners to get that done. So that's all we have. Anybody have questions for me or for the N2N6 or CIO folks?
I just wanted to make a statement. As many of you are alluding to, you're all unqualified, all right? As you can see up here. So to that point, as I briefed yesterday, we just did the pool for the DoD's cybersecurity element and those work codes that are there. Mm-hmm. So obviously, as she just pointed out, the Navy specifically has a lot of people in IT, very little or less, I guess, in cybersecurity. So that is the first tranche of data that we have pulled for the DoD team in qualification. As she mentioned, this data is going to be refined. As more taskers come out from DoD, that number will go up, obviously. So thank you for providing that information. And I just wanted to make that remark that get qualified, guys.
Absolutely, yeah, get qualified. We spoke last week, and I was concerned. I'm like, hey, it doesn't look great for the Navy in general. But again, there's a lot of refinement that needs to be done. The data and some of the things, again, that need to be worked out among the organizations with regard to how we capture this. Just a little bit, like I didn't talk a lot about the data, but on the front page you can see that the source of the data is TWIMS, which is the authoritative source. At this time we do not, and I don't think there is a plan in general to pull TWIMS. Mike Pamato, who's our tech advisor, knows we're not pulling TWIMS data into Jupyter, right, directly, but we are obviously pulling it down into spreadsheets and connecting it to Jupyter. What we want to do is make that even more automated, where we can send it into a table on the back end and then have it refreshed on the, because right now what we're doing is basically, and it looks like it's a great tool, but on the back end it's a little bit clunky at this moment because we're basically having people email us a spreadsheet, which again, we are IT, right? So emailing us a spreadsheet, and then we're uploading that data and refreshing the dashboard on a monthly basis. So the goal is to get to more automation until we maybe at some point get to waypoints where all of that data is taken there. And again, like I mentioned, in the next year or so, we're going to be bringing all the waypoints data into Jupyter. All right. Any other questions?
There's a mic over here because the online people can't hear you.
So obviously waypoints feeds into TWIMS, and if you guys feed into, or have TWIMS feed into you guys, into your dashboard, then the supervisors can actually go into this as a one area, and they can actually see their individuals, which would be ideal as a cybersecurity workforce PM myself. This would be one of the things that I would use as my tool to see what I have in my personnel. And this would be the one stop shopping, point here. And that's, as you said, this is still clunky on the back end by, spreadsheets and everything else. And if that's how I would go, if it was, me. I know this is all new to everybody, so May of 2023, this all started, being pushed out, so this is all new to everybody. But I mean, this is a great idea if you guys can get that, last, few points worked out.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you for that. Yep. Anyone else? Comments or questions?
Chris.
Yes. I need to talk in the mic, sorry. Yes, because we have people remote, so that'll be how they're able to hear the question.
I just want to clarify, you pull your information from TWIMS, so obviously this is just a data, a quick look from Waypoint TWIMS, but you said, let's say I upload something today, I would have to wait a full 30 days to make sure it's reflecting in there.
Right, we don't have like a real-time feed. It's a once a month, basically point in time pull.
Okay,
and
then.
We update the data then, and it's usually, we try to do it by the 15th of the month. So at this point, it's not automated, like it's not real time. Like
Yes.
You're not gonna see the data real time when you go into the dashboard. It's going to be, depending on what time of the month that you look at the data.
Of course, yes.
It's going to look at, it might be a month old right before we do the refresh, but it is every 30 days.
Okay,
Yep.
I just want to clarify.
Yeah, of course.
Well, yeah, our goal there, we are working to get away from that. This is kind of an interim solution, kind of as we stood this up. I think the way Lorena put it, who used to be in Candace's position, was we did accept some technical debt just so that we could get a tool built, but we are working on figuring out what's the best way we just can get the automated feeds going.
Absolutely.
And just remember, this is a great tool. As she said, you can't see the individual personnel, right? The faces. You're seeing the spaces and the overarching. So you're still using TWIMS as a local PM to administer to the scorecard, which is then being reflected here for your overarching population.
And I
Right.
think most of the questions we're getting in the chat are to the effect of, how do I get access to this? How do I look at this? And at this time, this is not something that has been put into production yet. It's currently, the team has access to it. Kind of as you see, there's still a number of things we're working to confirm the logic on. And in the recent months, we've been very laser focused on cybersecurity. So when you look at the holistic, there's some issues that, like, for example, no one's unqualified or non-compliant yet because our timeline started last year and people are still within their timeline to complete. So certain things we're still working to figure out, and we've just been focused on one specific element. So more to come. I think our internal date that we're targeting having this 100% done and ready to share out by is beginning of May, hopefully sooner, but we'll keep everyone up to date on how we're doing there.
Great.
I think that's all the questions in the chat. Because, yeah, most of them were just on that topic.
Yeah, regarding access, so if you have access to the Jupyter Hub for Human Capital, it's in the application's in the public stream. However, there is section access. So you do have to actually ask for access. One thing that we're working on right now for our hub, like when you go to the public analytics stream, we want to put some more information on which of the applications are section access and which are open to whoever has a CAC. So that is clear to you. You're not clicking through things and getting the like womp womp, I can't get to this one. You'll know straight up right away that you need to contact someone to get that. So we're working on that. Yes.
Okay, so something I'll need your help with from DoD CIO is part of our workforce. You're doing civilians right now. You have planned to do mill. Contractors. How are we going to measure qualification of contractors? So I want you to start thinking about that now, because that's a very difficult process, but they are part of our workforce, so you have to start thinking about the dashboards and how we're going to read that data.
Really good point, because they are a huge piece of it, and I know that there's some comments about that, but Mars in general is trying to get to total force, and a lot of times think of total force as, military and civ, but it's actually contractors as well. So that's something that we also, a frontier that we also need to explore at some point, but go ahead.
So I just wanted to add that within our TWIMS readiness, we do have tracking of contractor information right now. It's set on 8570, but much like the report that's feeding this readiness, it can pull that same report for what contractors we have now. So we could do that. It could be there. So we are tracking it.
I think the big thing with that, and the struggle I think we all have, is that contractors come and go so frequently that even in a month it could change drastically. But it doesn't minimize the fact that we do need to understand that they are a huge part of our ability to provide capability. And without that piece of it, we absolutely do not have the holistic picture. So thank you for that. Anyone else? I wish I would have had a hype song like you did coming up here. Mine's Unstoppable by Sia, in case you want to. I was trying to get one of my folks to pull it up on Spotify, but no, it's too late. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. See me on a break, or I will be around if you want to chat about what we're doing in general with Mars and orbit, or if you want to talk about this specifically, I'll be here. Thank you.
Before everybody rolls out, we are just going to go over a couple of things. Thank you very much. Thank you to Chris, Candace, and Amy for that presentation and for putting all that together. So if you look at this, folks, this is why we say, hey, in TWIMS, it's important to make sure you're getting TWIMS right. It's important that we are ensuring TWIMS is correct, right? Because this is as you said back there, this is a data visualization of the scorecard in TWIMS. This is where we started everything from, right? Hey, we're the only service that has a scorecard right now. Let's take that and let's make sure everybody can see it across that and can visualize across the dawn what that looks like, right? Instead of, you can pull reports, but visualizations work so much better. So this is why it's very important to make sure you're hitting those processes and putting stuff in those systems so that we can, as the data moves over, we can do this. Quick thing, the qualification. Oh, quick thing is, Ms. Clark's about to leave. There was notes on napkins and stuff last night. I think we've sort of worked out a contractor tracking thing. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. It could be a little hazy, but Also, the not qualified, remember, it's looking at everything. So foundational qualification, we might be actually really good, but that dashboard is pulling in residential and continuous professional development, right? It's looking at everything. So understandably, you're gonna see a lot of people unqualified, but like Chris said, you're not really unqualified because we're still within our timeline, but do understand that it is grabbing every piece of readiness and every piece of qualification to come into there. Okay, so what do we have tomorrow? Hold on real quick. I probably shouldn't do that. Old knees. Okay, so let's see, tomorrow. Is Mr. Ryder open? All right, we got Mr. Ryder opening up. We have Captain Pinder from NC Doc to come talk about residential qualification. And then we have Miss Dawn Fish from OCHR to talk about all your HR needs. And then we have Melissa Chang coming in to talk about Cora inspections and how that's been working for cyber workforce. And then we have Mr. Stacy Suji, who will be covering down on what they're doing out at Mar4 PAC and providing us a couple of recommendations of some stuff that we could do. So we're all looking forward to that tomorrow. We kick off at 08:30. Thank you all today for being here. And I do want to say this. It was Data Day, but multiple times leadership talked about people. And it's fantastic that the leaders are talking about people because that helps us to drive taking care and empowering our people. So thank you all.